Welcome to Procedurally Generated, a police procedural podcast. I'm your host, Jermaine Harris. In this episode, I'll be talking about one of my favorite TV shows. Monk premiered in July of 2002 and released its final season in December of 2009. Over those 8 seasons, there were 125 episodes, and they actually did a movie last year that came out called Mr. Monk's Last Case. Although there was about 14 years in between the series finale, I'd say the movie still felt like Monk. Monk was one of the first TV shows that I can remember watching as a kid that wasn't a family-focused sitcom or some animated TV show for kids. So that's one reason why it holds a special place in my heart. It's also one of the shows that my mom and I would watch every week whenever a new episode came out. For those who aren't aware, Monk is about a consultant named Adrian Monk, who is a former police detective and currently consults with the San Francisco PD. He worked as a cop for a while, but once his wife was killed, Monk had a mental breakdown and his natural anxieties started to get the better of him, and he had a harder time adjusting to normal life as a cop. But thankfully, he was able to come back as a consultant because he is still good at what he does, although he is kind of quirky. One of the things that Monk does well is that it doesn't always poke fun at Monk's challenges. I wouldn't say that Monk is a traditional police procedural. It's obviously a cop show, but I wouldn't put it strictly in the same category as a show like Law and Order. But Monk is more of a case of the week show, which I find interesting because it kind of lets you focus on how Monk is going to solve the case, rather than strictly focusing on the more dramatic side of a man who lost his wife and is struggling to deal with it. Of course, his struggles do often come out through pretty much every episode. For example, there's one episode where Monk is in a teacher's lounge and there are 2 coffee pots where one has decaf and the other has caffeinated coffee, but the levels aren't balanced. Monk just can't help himself but to balance out the liquid in there, even though he's told that one pot is decaf and the other one isn't. Now, I think it's funny because he knows good and well that he shouldn't mix it up, but he still has to because that's just who Monk is as a person. If you're listening to this podcast, you've probably heard of Monk before. If you've never gotten around to watching it, please do. I would recommend watching several episodes in one season rather than just picking one episode at random, because that one episode may not give you a good read on what the show is kind of about. But I think once you watch about 4 or 5 episodes, you get a good feel for the type of show that Monk is, and I hope that you'll enjoy it.